everyone. This video is about keys and the use of keys in the database. So, what are keys in the database? So, it is used for identifying unique rows from the table, and it also establishes relationship among the tables. So, these are the keys that we are going to cover: composite, primary key, key attribute, super key, candidate key, and some other concepts associated as well. We are also going to cover foreign key, secondary key, etc. So let's start with primary key first. So here I have included one example where there are three attributes in the table: ID, name, and age of student. So primary key is a column or set of columns in a table that uniquely identifies tuples, that is rows, in that table. There should be no duplication, no null. Null means invalid values, and not necessarily be a single attribute. So multiple attributes can be formed as a primary key as well. Here see, attribute student name alone cannot be a primary key as more than one students have same name. So Steve is repeated here. Student age alone cannot have be a primary key as more than one students have the same age. 29 is repeated. Here only attribute student ID is a primary key as each student has a unique ID that can identify the student record individually in a table. So primary keys are not necessarily to be a single attribute, that is a column. It can be a set of more than one attribute or columns. For example, student ID, student name collectively together can identify the tuple in the above table, here in this table. But we do not choose it as a primary key because student ID alone is enough to uniquely identify rows in the table, and we always go for minimal set. Having said that, we should choose more than one columns as a primary key only when there is no single column that can uniquely identify each tuple or record or row in a table. Next, let's come to super key. Here, super key means what? It is a set of one or more columns or attributes to uniquely identify rows in a table. So there is also another one key, that is candidate key. So there is a misconception that are the candidate keys are super key, are they different or are they similar? So the answer is simple. Candidate keys are selected from a set of super keys. So first you need to determine the super keys. The only thing we need to take care while selecting candidate key is it should not have any redundant attribute, or there should not be any duplicate data. That's the reason they are also termed as minimal super key. Here see in this given table, uh, the set of super keys in the above table, it has the following super keys, and all of the following sets of super key are able to uniquely identify a row of a table of this employee table. So SSN number, SSN and number together, SSN and EMP name together, SSN, EMP number, EMP name, all of them together can uniquely identify one row. EMP number and name can also uniquely identify each row. So these are the set of all the available or possible super keys in this table. So see, let's say you want to determine what are the candidate keys here. So as I mentioned in the beginning, a candidate key is a minimal super key with no redundant attributes. The following two set of um, The following two set of super keys are chosen from this set, and there are no redundant attributes in this sets, and those two are SSN and EMP number. So only these two sets are candidate keys, as all other sets are having redundant attributes that are not necessarily necessary for unique identification. So the other possible super keys are discarded, and only this SSN and number are chosen to be the candidate key. Next, let's see alternate key. So alternate key, as we have seen in the candidate key guide that a table can have multiple candidate keys, it's possible. So among these candidate keys, only one key gets selected as a primary key and the remaining keys are known as alternative or secondary keys. See in this table, uh, so first let's see what are the candidate keys here. EMP ID can be a candidate key and EMP number also can be a candidate key. We just randomly determining it. So if these two tables are, if these two columns are the candidate keys, your DBA, that is your database administrator, he or she has the ability to choose any one of the above key as a primary key. Let's say EMP ID is chosen as a primary key. So since we have selected the ID as the primary key, the remaining candidate key EMP number would be called as a alternate key or secondary key. So alternate key is similar to or same as of secondary key. Let's see next, composite key. So composite key here, this is the table we are considering to understand the concept. So this is a key that has more than one attributes and it is called as a composite key. It is also termed as compound key as well. So make a note, any key such as super key, primary key, candidate key, etc. can be called composite key if it has more than one attributes. Okay, this is the definition and a note to make of this composite key. So see in this table, given table, none of the columns alone can play a role of key in the table. See here, there is some redundant or duplicate data in the customer ID. Order ID alone also cannot be a primary key, as the same order can contain the order of multiple products, such as order ID can be present multiple times. The product code also same thing goes on for this, and for product count also there is some redundancy. So based on this, it is safe to assume that the key should be having more than one attributes. So in this given table, we can assume customer ID and product code together, both of them together can determine individual records of the table, identify individual record of the table together. So here this is a composite key that is made up of more than one attributes. Hope you understood this concept. What is a composite key? Okay, so now let me see if I have the foreign key here. No, I don't have the foreign key table here. So here, let me show you one example for the foreign key. So foreign key here, to understand the concept of foreign key, you need to consider multiple tables. So here we have two tables, course enrollment and student table. So let's see the definition first. So foreign keys are the columns of a table that points to the primary key of another table. So foreign key is always directly indirectly related to the primary key of another table, and they act as a cross reference between the tables. So see in this example here, these two tables, student ID column in the course enrollment table, this is a foreign key. Why? Because it is related, course enrollment table is related to the student table via or through one common attribute called student ID, and in the student table student ID has been selected as a primary key. So here the same student ID will be made a foreign key in the course enrollment table. Okay, this is the concept of foreign key. Okay, well, so I think that's all. So here see, you will also find this picture in the this figure in the book as well. So see there are two tables. Your table name product and there is a another table vendor. So Try to find out which are the primary keys and foreign keys in both of the table and how are they related to each other. Okay.